Hello and welcome to Ministry of Offence, the show that doesn't spoon-feed you the news. We breastfeed you. Actually, do you know what? Maybe later. That'll keep you watching. I'm your host, Stephen Allen, and I'm going to start with a quick recap of the news you might have missed this week. So plucky Ukraine won Eurovision, taking a break from fighting Russia to join in with a war against music itself. This means they host next year, but what if the conflict is still going on? Imagine how big the loss to music would be if a missile hit the venue. 0. I don't watch Eurovision myself. I only knew it was on because I noticed a sudden drop in traffic on Grindr. The government has announced plans to cut 91,000 civil servant jobs. Jacob Rees-Mogg is in charge, but for him, a civil servant is any butler that doesn't flick the V's the moment his back's turned. A lot of civil servants are still working via Zoom. I'm not sure how we'll know if they're on strike or just buffering. The government voted against plans for a windfall tax on gas and oil companies. I confess, heating is less of a problem for a middle-aged man like me, as some days I look down and find I'm just wearing a fleece. No idea how that happens. Lib Dem leader Ed Davey said, "This really doesn't matter, does it? Let's just skip past this bit." It looks like Ukrainian refugees could be sent to Rwanda if they come via Northern Ireland. However, if Liz Truss scraps the protocol, they could move freely around the UK if they're dressed as a giant pork pie. Should we be sending Channel migrants to Rwanda? They're crossing in decrepit boats, they're living off little money, and they have barely edible food. Can't they work for P&O? The new Calvin Klein ad campaign features a pregnant transgender man. All I'll say to the happy couple is, don't get your hopes up. He's a guy. There's a chance it might just be a fart. I assume he's pre-op, certainly hope so, else the baby risks being 15 foot long and the width of a chopstick. The Queen officially opened the Elizabeth line. Her Majesty was the perfect choice, as it's also expected to be plagued by mobility issues. It's actually named the Elizabeth line as construction started shortly after the original one came to the throne in 1558. The Queen was handed an Oyster card with £5 credit, which she's expected to use to soften the blow when telling Andrew he no longer has use of a royal car. And that's your weekly roundup. Time to get on with the show. Of course, no panel show is complete without panellists, so first let's meet the teams. Our team captain for the right is someone who only wears shirts from factories that mirror his political beliefs. He doesn't care if little children suffer. It's Leo Kearse. And his teammate used to be who you got in when you couldn't afford Louis Theroux. But that's not what happened here. Louis just said no. It's Mark Dolan. And facing them tonight is the captain of the left team. She has a BA in drama from Loughborough Uni. The final exam is a feat of acting where you have to pretend to be happy that you've got a BA in drama from Loughborough Uni. It's Diane Spencer. And her teammate, a man who almost got to present Top Gear. He didn't get the job, but don't worry, I can assure you he's still a massive It's Stephen Grant. So here at Ministry of Offence, we ask our teams to tell us which minister they would like to be. So, Leo, I'm going to start with your team. What are you the minister of?
I'm going to be the Minister of Charity Fraud this week. I don't know if you've been watching the news, but the founder of Black Lives Matter, Patrisse Cullors, she's in trouble because they've uncovered her accounts, and it reveals that she's paid like $1 million to her baby daddy for consultancy fees, $1 million to her brother, $1 million, like loads of money to other friends. I mean, who does she think she is? Matt Hancock handing out PPE contracts. And I think Black Lives Matter, they should be renamed. It should now stand for benefit larceny mostly, or bandit laundering money, or big lawsuit maybe.
But Leo,
towards me for saying all that.
What do you really think of BLM though?
Actually, I totally respect them for doing that. I mean, like, normal charities waste the money on things like community outreach projects for poor people. At least they got some use out of the money. They had some parties, they had chartered flights and stuff. They bought luxury villas. That is the way all charities should go, I think.
Yeah, I mean, BLM are basically just the Tory party, aren't they, in America?
Yeah, but with less money to play with.
And Mark, what minister are you?
Well, I'll be the Minister of Inflation. What a great gig. I mean, I'll just be on TV the whole time, probably for several years. Everyone's like, what's happening? I'll be like, well, today a loaf of bread is 10 quid. Cathedral City cheese, 50 quid. Second-hand Nissan Micra with one careless owner, 100 grand. I am Mr. Inflation. Bring it on.
Over to the left, Diane, obviously you aren't in power, so which shadow minister are you going to be?
Oh, I am the Shadow Minister for the Aluminium Jubilee. It's like the Platinum Jubilee, it's just a bit more affordable.
And Stephen?
I am going to be the Shadow Minister for Skin in the Game. The development of politics has been such now that you can't really talk about anything authoritatively unless you're in some way personally affected by it. If you think about this, has been around in politics for a while already. You can't really be the Armed Forces Minister unless you've been ex-services. If you're a Transport Minister and you don't have a driving licence, it looks like weakness. And so it will just continue to all forms of government. You can't actually make a decision unless it personally affects you. Likewise, you can't have an opinion on trans rights unless you have initiated the process of gender transformation. So it's a great step, but I think we will take politics more seriously if everybody has skin in the game.
Oh, it's brave of you to volunteer for some of that.
I'm obviously very pro the trans thing, and I actually feel like I'm sort of trans ready myself because I'm very neatly tailored. Do you know what I mean? On a cold day, I look like basically Sue Perkins naked. So I do think it won't be such a struggle for me.
Not on that mental image. That's the introductions out of the way. I think it's high time we got this show on the road. It's time for our first round, which is Clickbait. Yes, our first round is Clickbait, where we give each of our guests a news story and task them to come up with a headline. In true tabloid style, these headlines need to be punny, funny, or downright sensational. Basically anything that's going to draw you in as clickbait. Let's start with the left this week. Diane, I'm coming to you first with this one. The boss of Greggs says that prices may go up by 10%, meaning the bakery's infamous sausage rolls are likely to leap to £1.50. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has pushed up global wheat prices, with costs jumping further as a result of India's export ban due to a heatwave hitting the country's crops. What can you do with that?
Armour-Gregdon?
Strong.
Greggs sausage swells at hot international action.
I'm so much happier that that's a story that's on this story and nothing to do with MasterChef.
I still like Armour-Gregdon. I think that works for anyone called Greg who is problematic.
Fat Boy Slim due to Greg price hike.
90s reference, nice.
Who doesn't love a 90s reference?
Yeah. I would like Greg Spensive, I think, which is the most straightforward one. I'm genuinely surprised I didn't go with that.
Nice. Any ideas from over here?
The cost of carbohydrate crisis.
Nice.
Do not raise prices. Greggs is getting expensive. It gets worse.
Yes.
Sausage rolling in it. Sun exclusive.
They cost an arm and a Greg.
Nice.
Hey.
What else? Oh, yes. And also, they could update the old joke. How do you make a sausage roll? You need quite expensive ingredients. But it's good to see Greggs trying to reach a new market with their celebrity branding. They've got Daft Punk outside buying one.
Well, let's move on to the next one. To the blue team, here's Leo's story. Tom Cruise made a dramatic appearance at the Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations before admitting to the astonishment of presenter Philip Schofield that he'd walked through Windsor to get to the event. How do you sell that story?
What about, that's an impressive rain, ma'am.
Nice.
But it's rain spelled R-E-I-G-N, like the Queen type of rain, not...
I think if anyone didn't get that joke, they didn't deserve to get that joke.
Right.
Okay, how about this one?
You're so cool.
I feel the need for tweed.
Any ideas over here?
I have King of Hollywood meets Queen of England.
I like the idea of him being introduced. And sort of like, have I got Cruise for you? Which would be a good example. Also, the idea of him getting into the palace after walking does amuse me slightly, going up to someone in a bearskin going, I'm here to see the Queen, and he's going, where's that noise coming from?
Right, let's head back to the left. Stephen, here's your story. A hungry seagull from Paynton, Devon, was filmed shoplifting mini cheddars yet again this week. Stephen Seagull, as he's been dubbed by locals, is believed to have stolen over £300 worth of food from Tesco. He's been known to strike 3 times a day with Monster Munch, mini cheddars and cheese Doritos among his favourite snacks. All right, let's remind ourselves of this little guy in action. It'd be great if there were sound effects like...
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
A seagull's gone into a shop and it's stolen, now it's trying to eat the packet whole. Oh no, he's breaking it. Oh, he's broken it open. That's quicker than I can do it.
That video specifically, what I love about it is that seagulls can fly, but that guy is cocky enough to do this entirely on feet. It's not going, I could have flown in there, grabbed Chris and flown out again, but watch this. Nobody can stop me. I'm a bloody seagull. But I've got various ideas for this. Big girls don't buy. Gulls on film. Gulls just want to have fun. But my biggest issue with the pun here is Stephen Seagull. Every seagull in a story always ends up being called Stephen Seagull. And as a Stephen, and as a Steve as yourself, I feel our name has been massively appropriated for the seagull community. So I would like to give him a name specific to this, and I'm calling him Chris de Bird.
I do. What you mean about the name? I like how it says in the story, as he's been dubbed by locals. He didn't call himself that. Any other ideas over here?
Well, I love the fact that you pointed out that he was just walking. So you could go with local thief, a flight risk. Fat bird nicks crisps.
Any ideas over here?
Yeah, we got loads.
Good.
Seagull, big fan of peck and mix. To wit, true for one. If we want to wipe out the population of seagulls, because many people think they're a pest, why don't they just leave the doors to Greggs open 24/7 and just let them eat basically unhealthy food all day? That would do it, wouldn't it?
That's all they live on.
Of wheat.
That's all seagulls live on. I live in Brighton. I was born up in Brighton. We are the seagulls. You know, that's our football reference. They run the town.
Are there more seagulls in Brighton than vegans now? I mean, is it?
Well, I'll be honest with you. It is the seagulls that are keeping the meat production still in business. Their foods are very much kebabs and chips. If you walk along Brighton seafront holding an open bag of chips, you are in serious trouble. They will sweep in, they will hit you, they will take the chips, and they'll fly off again. And that noise they make, that is laughter, right? Because they have been laughing in our faces for quite some time.
Let's move on. Finally, let's see what Mark does with this story. A Carlsberg boss was sacked for having beers with 8 friends in a brewery during lockdown. According to an employment tribunal, the Carlsberg director was accused of hosting a boisterous, alcohol-fueled late-night tour of a London brewery, which was captured on CCTV despite strict COVID restrictions. Thoughts?
Man sacked for organising a up in a brewery. I mean, look, the bottom line is I don't know anyone, I think, that followed the COVID rules. The Prime Minister ignored them, Keir Starmer, even the boss of Carlsberg.
Did you ignore them?
Well, I don't have a social life, so I tried to ignore them, but it wasn't possible because I have no friends. So basically being a great citizen was foisted upon me just by not being someone that other people want to be around. Danish brewery boss sacked for Norse play.
Yes! Yes!
There you go, that GCSE history wasn't a complete waste of time.
No.
Any more from over here?
I've just got one. He was done for unfair missile. Because they were drunk.
Any ideas over here?
Carlsberg boss says, I didn't realise it was a brewery.
I'll be going then. There was tons of beer puns, and I thought by the time it got to me, they'd all have gone, so I wrote 2.
Fair play. Well, all excellent work, but there can only be one winner to that round, and the winner is the red team.
Well,
And we'll be back after these ads, which will give you plenty of time to flick through a bunch of channels and then come back going, ugh, there's nothing else on.
My My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Welcome back to Ministry of Offence in a week where inflation topped 10%, meaning we can no longer afford a gag writer to finish this joke. We're still here with Leo Kearse, Mark Dolan, Diane Spencer and Stephen Grant, and it's time for our next round, Lie Detector. Our teams are shown some newspaper stories from this week and they must decide which parts of each story are true and which parts are false. This round is head-to-head, so like an overexcited volunteer police officer with a new taser, it's fingers on buzzers. Can you spot the lie in the first story? Tim Martin has backed down on his plan to sue a small Cornish pub called Witherspoon. Locals rallied behind the landlord after the businessman sent a cease and desist letter demanding the 200-year-old inn, located in a small rural hamlet, change its name so people are not confused. What's the line there?
It clearly looks like it's a fake story by virtue of the fact that you could never assume a pub is like a Wetherspoons if local people rallied around to support it. And actually Wetherspoons has nobody who likes that pub. Everybody's in there because it's a short step before ending their own life.
I would say that he didn't use a lawyer to do it because it's Wetherspoons. What it's more likely to have done is just he's written it on a note, wrapped it in a brick and chucked it through the window.
I can tell you there are no lies in this story. It's 100% true because I have been to that pub and it's the same as a Wetherspoons. Sticky carpets, cheap beer and stabbings at throwing out time.
I think the fake bit of the story is the fact that they sent a cease and desist letter. If anyone's been to rural Cornwall, the chance of the post arriving are nearly zero. So, I mean, at best they can attach it to a pigeon and hope it goes home.
It's actually Condé Nast, who are the owners of the magazine Vogue, because the pub was called the Star Inn and it's actually in a little place called Vogue. And the owners of the multi-million-pound fashion magazine went, well, people are going to clearly get confused.
That is the correct answer.
Yes!
It's true. It's true. Anna Winter, their global editor, is a regular in there. She drinks Old Speckled Hen. She's got her own stool.
Yep, it's not a Spoons, it's actually Vogue magazine who've backed down on their plan to sue a small Cornish pub called Vogue in a village with the same name. It's an apt name for an establishment because, like the magazine, if you're in there, it probably means you vomit straight after eating. The withdrawal of the legal action has led to huge relief, not just in Vogue, but in the neighbouring village at the Auto Trader and Duck. Moving on, can you spot the lie in this next story? A retired Indian couple are taking their only son to court for £530,000, as that's the amount they splashed on his education and US pilot training. After failing his exams, the couple were left distraught and said it's caused them mental agony. We killed our dreams to raise him, Sajneev Prasad said. Any ideas what the lies are in there?
There's not a lie, there's an omission. It just doesn't say that the son is actually 5 years old.
The lie is they say they killed our dreams to raise him. They actually killed their grandparents.
The family are worried. This guy is now so uneducated. His only option is to enter the British cabinet. That's how bad it is.
You're supposed to be on the right.
Well, you know, I'm a turncoat.
But then so are the British cabinet. Am I right?
Hey, come on, boom.
It's not a retired Indian couple, it's my parents. I've always let them down. They've never forgiven me for getting that drama degree from Loughborough. Yeah, it's them. It's not because of his job. It's actually because he didn't have grandchildren for them. And they're angry that he didn't have children. And they've decided to sue him for it.
Is the correct answer.
Incredible. Good work. Good work. My parents sued me for having grandchildren because she's met them. They're terrible people.
Yep. In fact, it's an Indian couple suing their son for £500,000 if he doesn't produce a child within a year, which brings a whole new meaning to the term money shot. OK, everyone, fingers on buzzers. Here comes the next lie-laden story. A cyclist has been fined for using bank cards in a wallet stolen by a toddler and dropped in the street. The unidentified toddler stole the victim's wallet when he dropped it while getting out of his car. The child was caught on camera waddling off with the wallet just before 10 a.m. on the way to nursery. The cyclist then rode past at 10:01, picked up the wallet and cycled off. What's your lie in there?
There's no lie, because toddlers can't steal things because they already believe everything is theirs.
Legally, you're absolutely bang on the money. As far as I understand it, under a fairly hefty age, you can't be done for theft. So a toddler doesn't steal anything. I mean, obviously, they're massively narcissistic and believe everything's about them already. I've got 2 children, by the way, and so I'm allowed to say this.
I think your legal age of responsibility is 10, which is why I always send 9-year-olds in to do my stealing for me.
That's right.
When Steven Seagal is not available.
That's right, yeah.
The lie in this story is it wasn't the cyclist, it was the toddler that stole the wallet. There is CCTV footage of this toddler at its local mother care, just basically splashing the cash like a Kardashian, buying Gucci nappies and Prada dummies.
Any other ideas?
The toddler was himself when he got caught.
I can tell you the correct answer is that it wasn't a toddler. A cyclist has been fined for using bank cards in a wallet stolen by a fox.
What?
Apparently, police are so worried about fox crime that they've trained an undercover one to infiltrate them. Code name Vixen of Dock Green. Hardly the first fox to get on the wrong side of the law. Basil Brush even found himself under surveillance by counter-terrorism officers after repeatedly shouting out his catchphrase.
I read in The Guardian that this channel would just turn into Fox News.
Hey!
Now it's time for our next game, Spin Doctors. In this round, one member from each team will take on the persona of a public relations specialist as they defend a public figure for something they've done this week that was erroneous, fallacious, or just plain moronic. The Right, you're up first. Who will you be spinning this week?
We are going to spin Lee Anderson.
OK, well, let's remind ourselves of the story.
And this is exactly my point. So I invite you personally to come to Ashfield, look at our food bank, how it works, and I think you'll see firsthand that there's not this massive use for food banks in this country. We've got generation after generation who cannot cook properly, they can't cook a meal from scratch, they cannot budget. The challenge is there.
Right, spin away.
Well, I think this man is a man of courage, authenticity and conviction. I think he's right. The British people cannot cook. Cut out the middleman. Teach them to shoplift instead. It's a great skill. It's very hard to do, isn't it?
Yeah, well, unless you're a seagull.
Correct.
But yeah, I mean, walking around the UK, I've got to be honest, like the biggest threat to our society doesn't seem to be lack of food. It seems to be people eating too much food. So yeah, I agree with Lee Anderson. We're getting too used to convenience food. Just the other day, I saw somebody eating a Ginster's pasty and then regurgitating the wrapper like they were an owl. I mean, it was an owl, but...
The way to get Britain to cook is to send Gordon Ramsay to every British household and get him to call them all
yeah.
If you watch his show, it's transformative.
Yeah, I missed that first series of Gordon Ramsay, which was basically just illegal workplace bullying. That's what made this country great. We need to bring that back. No HR departments. We'll scrap all HR departments.
Well, that's right.
Just an angry Scottish man. Could be Gordon Ramsay, could be me. Just going around breaking them down, every aspect of their looks, psyche, personality. That's going to work.
Well,
we're
that's
rule
right.
The waves again.
On that show, he made them cry. They self-harmed, but you should have tasted their vegetarian lasagna by the end of it.
Yeah, it's brilliant, beautiful, because it was full of meat. Because we didn't have vegetarians back then. It was a much better time. So Jack Monroe, the lefty food blogger, said they, because she's non-binary, obviously, is going to sue Lee Anderson because Lee Anderson, on a show with Martin Dobney, said that Jack Monroe makes a lot of money from poor people selling books to them, which is nonsense because poor people can't read, and from her media appearances and all the rest of it. And Jack Monroe said, no, I'm not rich. I don't make money off my many books and media appearances and my many Patreons and all the rest of it and my adverts and all the other stuff I do. I don't make money because apparently it's bad to make money these days. And I think this shows why left-wing people are poor. If you can have all those sources of income and still not be rich, no wonder you can't afford a sausage roll.
Can we have a whip round for the impending court case between Leo Kearse and Jack Monroe, a very intelligent and talented person?
Somebody, I am, yeah. For somebody with no money who isn't rich, she sure seems to be able to afford a lot of litigation.
Interesting spinning. Diane, you're up next. Who will you be spinning this week?
This week, we will be spinning Sadiq Khan and his plans to legalise marijuana.
Let's remind ourselves of this story.
Now, you might not know that in his youth, Sadiq Khan once smoked and inhaled cannabis. An unusual admission for a politician. No wonder then he has an open mind about legalising it.
It's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting.
Does it bring back memories of sampling it?
Nice try. I have got an open mind. What we want to do is get a group of experts, health experts, community experts, legal experts and others to look at the law around cannabis. We're not talking about Class A drugs.
I've noticed that in London, the smell of weed is already everywhere. So it's nice that he's going to just legalise it. I think Sadiq Khan probably should do that and make some money, because hopefully it will fill the gaping black hole that is TfL. And plus, if you do smoke a lot of weed and then the trains are running late, you're not really going to mind, are you? It's not going to be much of a problem. And then when your train actually turns into a bus, it's going to be magic. It's like, oh my God, I started on a train and now my train's got wheels and I'm on the road. I'm still going home. It's going to be so exciting to be in London.
Yeah, look, I mean, a lot of people are saying that Sadiq Khan is going to legalise cannabis. He's not doing that. What he's actually doing is he is exploring options. That's what he said. He's gone over there to do some investigating and to explore and to experiment with ideas. And there is no better time to experiment than when you are having cannabis. I mean, it is basically the basis of experimentation. It's the pathway to all drugs and policies, for that matter. He's got a series of different experts to sit around in a circle, probably cross-legged on cushions, listening to Orb from the late 1980s, on an audio tape as well, having a really relaxed time. There's a very real chance that there is huge benefits to this country. The first one being a straightforward economic advantage, because let's have a look at this. We can't get stuff into this country, can we? There's a war in Ukraine, there's Brexit, there's huge amounts of additional costs in fuel, which is affecting all forms of transportations, and yet this is a product we grow in abundance within this country. There is an entire industry out there, factories we barely know about, in people's sheds, attics, garages, you name it, right? These people can finally become the captains of industry that they've always dreamed that they could actually be.
It would be great if they legalised it, especially for the City of London, because it is a muscle relaxant and it would help people relax enough to squeeze into the tiny little bedsits that you get to rent when you live in London.
Well, both well spun, but ultimately it's up to me to decide who had the best spin, and I have to say you were both great in equal measure, so annoyingly it's a draw. Time for a break now and time for adverts. We'll be back in 2 minutes, which is just enough time to cook an egg. And no, I'm being told that's not enough time to cook an egg. He was right, I can't cook.
I'm Mark Dolan. Join me at 11 on GB News for Headliners, in which I'll be joined by two of the UK's top comedians discussing tomorrow's papers. If it's an important story, we'll cover it, but we'll have some fun along the way. Headliners, the late night paper review that won't send you to sleep like the others will. 7 nights a week at 11 PM on GB News.
Welcome back to Ministry of Offence, where this week the government voted down a bill to impose a windfall tax on gas and oil companies. Rishi Sunak said that nothing was being taken off the table, especially not that massive bag filled with banknotes. How did that get there? We're still here with Leo Kearse, Mark Dolan, Diane Spencer and Stephen Grant. And it's time for our next round, anti-social media. Yes, this is anti-social media, in which we take a look at online reactions to various world events and then ask our teams to guess who said what about whom. The teams will need to match each post to the event or celebrity who said it. Think of it as social media snap. OK, Diane and Stephen, you're the perfect blank, morally vacuous, talent-free, unempathic and hopelessly out of touch with the real world.
Estate agent. I feel like it's just come to me. Solicitor?
Kardashian?
Here's your next one, see if this helps. Just started my new job as Blank's social media manager. I think the morning has gone pretty well.
I'm going for just started my job as Rose and Fred West's interactive escape room social media manager. I just feel that, that would be a tough job. And to be honest with you, Gloucestershire needs tourists, so, yeah.
Any more?
Just started my job as Elon Musk's social media manager. Even when you own Twitter, they still hate you.
Well, here's the next one. Wow, advertising that you need to show up to prove you're not a blank really is plunging new depths, even for this government.
I'm going to go with plumber. Because actually I used a plumber once in Edinburgh called Plunging New Depths.
OK, we can give you this final one. He gave up being a serious role model for everyone when he became a walking advert for Vileda Supermops.
I'm thinking of that Michael with the weird hair.
Michael Fabricant, yeah.
Michael Fabricant.
Boris Johnson's body double in the event of the Russians trying to assassinate him.
You get the point. We can remind ourselves of the tweet. Let's have a look.
Okay.
I'm expecting a strong turnout of Conservative MPs at Prime Minister's Questions today, not only to demonstrate their strong support for #Boris and then a bottom emoji, but also to prove they are not the one told by the Chief Whip to stay at home. I'll be there.
Winking tongue out, which I think is... Nothing says I'm not a rapist like a winking tongue out emoji.
Well, this gaffe has already cost Michael Fabricant financially, as he's been dropped from the face of the new hair care range from Shake and Vac. Leo and Mark, here are your posts, which are all about someone or something being discussed on social media. Here are your tweets. Take a look at these. I think one of my strongest qualities is that when I do cocaine for breakfast, I make it a rule not to go on live television. Blank.
Isn't it their turn, by the way?
Oh, yeah, do you have any guesses?
Yeah, that just shows the bias in the media against the right wing. We can't even on GBNews, we don't get a fair crack at it. Actually, somebody did loads of cocaine and then went on TV this week, and I don't think I'll get sued for saying that, is Cara Delevingne. Did you see the video? She's like licking people. I've been out of my box in my life, but I've never been licking people on TV out of my box. Also, how come when Cara Delevingne licks people, it's fine, but when I lick people, it's a breach of the Public Order Offence 1986?
God.
Well, here's your next one. See if this one helps. Why does everyone keep picking on blank? Don't they know he is a very high person in government? I mean, high up person in government. I mean, high person in government.
He's still looking over there.
Is it yours?
Yeah, it's her goal.
Is that what that is?
You got one job, Steve. Well, you might have other jobs.
Yeah,
I mean, I think he's an
so.
Uber driver as well. But
I need several
you got one job when we're in this room. And
it's right, they can edit it around. I think it'll look fine.
We're trying to track down someone in Parliament that's high on cocaine. It doesn't narrow it down, does it? Basically, it's one of the cleaners called Juanita, I believe, is clean, but that's about it.
She's importing it.
Correct.
There's one more tweet, see if this helps you. Nation grimly waits for blank's Jamaican accent.
Is it Justin Trudeau? I mean, he's got everything else in place. They're just waiting for the accent.
Interesting guess. Well, I can give you some multiple choice ones. Is it Boris Johnson, Sadiq Khan, Michael Gove, or George Osborne?
I think it's Michael Gove.
So you're guessing...
Michael Gove.
Michael Gove. I can tell you it is the correct answer. Let's remind ourselves of the offending clip.
But that doesn't amount to an emergency budget, which is what some people immediately thought that it did. It is an example of some commentators chasing their own tails and trying to take a statement that is commonsensical, turning it into a major capital letters, a big news story, and in fact, when the Treasury quite rightly say, calm down, then people, instead of recognising that they've overinflated the story in the first place, then say, oh, this is clearly a split.
Well, at least we know where Michael Gove was during the Partygate scandal, in the bathroom. And the winner of that round is It's Another Boring Draw. Time for our next round, Mass Debate. Now, in this round, we give the teams one big topic to debate. It'll be something that's been dominating the headlines, and each team has to take a side. This week's debate is asking, are you for or against the statue of Margaret Thatcher being erected in Grantham? Leo and Mark will be arguing for the statue. Diane and Stephen will be arguing against. Let's remind ourselves of the case. OK, I'm going to let Team Anti-Thatcher statue speak first. Take it away, Diane and Stephen.
Well, I think it would have been nice if they had made the statue rotate, because then the lady would always be turning.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, the fact that anyone would put up a statue of her while people can still remember the damage she'd done, you'd think she would be literally turning in her grave, so it'd be the ideal plinth for her. I mean, there is very little reason to put up a statue of her other than to give drivers the chance to shout something out and to give the mass unemployed, of which we have a huge amount now, something to do, because realistically most of their parks and play areas are decrepit or non-existent, so at least they've got something to climb and chuck at.
Leo and Mark, let's hear your argument for being pro-Thatcher statue.
Interesting to see the left, are angry that Thatcher closed the mines, because I'm sure Steve and Dan would be queuing up to be straight down the pit with their chai lattes and their MacBook Airs. You know what I mean? Man, she did you a total favour. Like, honestly, English people are always saying to me, like, oh my God, Leo, you must hate the Tories because they closed down the coal mines in Scotland. Screw that, I'm going to work above ground in an office pissing about on Facebook. That's progress, you know what I mean? That's what these people don't realise, it's progress. Only people on the left could think that the 70s, with their 3-day weeks and their strikes are better than modern Britain. It's an absolute nonsense. The progress we've got is, I mean, it's just disgusting that guy was wasting eggs during a food crisis.
Also, Thatcher was a great environmentalist. She massively reduced our carbon footprint by deciding as a country that we'd produce poor.
I think you could take just about everything bad that's happened in this country the last 30 years and track it back to Thatcher, almost exclusively. Everything from literally England not getting through to the World Cup finals.
You could do a quick breakout round if you want, and the right could suggest an issue and you can say why it's Thatcher's fault.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you're right. I suppose it's going to be like one of those Monty Python sketches. She was the worst Prime Minister ever, apart from turning Britain into the 5th biggest economy in the world, getting rid of unemployment, winning 3 landslide elections off the back of working class voters who enjoyed an opportunity to make something of their lives. Terrible woman. Also, she was a great role model, you know. I mean, she showed the world that a woman can be just as heartless and unself-aware as any man.
I mean, you've got to admit, she actually changed the skills of the working class, because they went from being a very skilled and industrial group of people to, you know, learning how to fiddle parking meters.
Any more on this debate?
No.
Well, that was a long and difficult mass debate, but there can only be one winner, and that is the blue team.
I tried.
And now it's time for our final round, the Quickfire Q&A. In our final round, I'll be asking rapid-fire questions based on all of the news this week. Our teams will buzz in and be the fastest to gain the points. Right, fingers on buzzers. Question 1. Why has the re-tarmacked road in Darlington gone viral?
Because they found a dead king under it.
No, lower than a Darlington.
Is it because it's the only road left in the United Kingdom that doesn't have a rainbow crossing on it?
It's not the right answer.
Is it because Darlington has a road?
We really have patronised the North today, haven't we? Good work.
It's because there's a car, and the car parked on the road and he wouldn't move it, and they had to re-tarmac around it.
Is the correct answer. Why was a man fined this week for driving a rented Maserati in Rome?
He hadn't used his horn in over a minute.
Not the right answer.
He was sober.
He accidentally drove it down the city's iconic 135-stair Spanish steps.
Which should only do in a Mini Cooper.
What was discovered in a thrift store in Austin, Texas this week?
Joe Biden.
It was a 2,000-year-old Roman bust.
Oh.
A Suffolk library book has been handed in 64 years late, but where was it found?
In Michael Gove's house, next to a copy of Cocaine Nights.
It was in Croatia, 1,000 miles away. A drawing by which artist has been discovered after being wrongly credited to one of his students for almost 500 years?
Michelangelo, Leonardo, Raphael, and Donatello.
You really are educated. You're cultured. That's what I like about you. Splinter. It's not. It is one of your somehow well-researched people of the classics. Any ideas?
Oh.
It's one of those.
It's one of those.
Pick a turtle.
Leonardo.
Nope.
Oh, Michelangelo.
Too late. According to Netflix, what should their workers do if they are offended by any of the platform's content?
Tweet about it.
It's not the right answer, I'm afraid.
Break the glass next to your desk and remove your emergency emotional peacock.
It's leave the company. What route is one Sunderland fan taking to Wembley to save money?
Rwanda?
I mean, no, I'm afraid not, but he's flying from England to Menorca and back because it's cheaper than getting the train.
What?
So we're heading in the right direction. Wrexham AFC are in the playoffs for promotion into the English Football League, but who owns the football club?
The Quankies.
Not right, I'm afraid.
It's Deadpool and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but I do not know their names.
Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, this is going to be painful when you don't get these points.
Rob.
Even more painful now you've got the first name right. Go on, surname?
McElhenney? Rob McElhenney? McElhenney.
McElhenney, unbelievable. What government department did the Taliban dissolve this week?
Most likely women who read.
Nora, the Department for Women Who Read.
Do you know what? If they had
Short
that department, that would
Small
be...
department.
Yeah.
The Department for Brexit Opportunities, even they've given up.
The correct answer is the Afghanistan's Human Rights Commission.
You know, I've got to say, I feel really let down by Taliban 2.0. You know, woke Taliban, plant-based. They said they changed, didn't they?
Who is to play Boris Johnson in Sky Atlantic's upcoming drama, This England? It will tell the story of the PM's handling of the pandemic.
Matt Lucas.
It's not right, I'm afraid.
Michael Fabricant.
Yes. Not the right answer. The correct answer is Kenneth Branagh. Which country has become the first to pay its male and female national football teams equal pay?
No, sorry, didn't mean to laugh.
I think America, because it's the only country where women's football is better than men's football.
It's the correct answer. A 530-metre long underground tunnel has been discovered in Tijuana, but what's its use?
Is it to get drugs?
Yeah. Like most underground tunnels, other than the new one that the Queen opened.
Point of order, it's not. It's a missing part of the M25.
So where you go for your drugs.
Is that the bit of the Elizabeth line we've been waiting for?
Which financial company reportedly had junior staff working up to 98 hours a week in their first year?
Oh, Wonga.
What? Wonga?
Is it Wonga?
No, it's not Wonga. No. It's Goldman Sachs. Let's move on with our lives.
My mate's so rich, he's run out of things to spend his money on, and he's decided to have gold leaf applied to his testicles, so he's now got gold man sacks.
Wow. What has Rachel McLean suggested the public does to tackle the cost of living crisis?
Just get a better job.
Is the correct answer. What made Cambridge University's Green Committee see red this week?
Is it their National Association of Colourblind People?
It's the Don's being served beef at a vegan-themed dinner. Wow, so close. What should maths be renamed to make it less academic and scary, according to the government's former levelling up expert?
Number works.
It's very close.
Headache hour.
No, it's numeracy. Who gave a surprise address at the opening of the Cannes Film Festival?
Is it Prince Philip?
That would have been a surprise.
Big surprise.
No, not the right one.
It's one of the ones that's been in trouble. It's Not Harvey Weinstein because he's in jail, but one of the other ones.
Such a long list as well. It's
Roman Polanski.
Roman Polanski.
No.
Kevin Spacey.
No.
Bill Cosby.
This is a fun game. This is the round we've been looking for.
Who's your favourite paedophile?
Oh, Hollywood sex offender. That's the round we wanted.
Oh, Amber Heard.
No, not the right answer. I can tell you, it's Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
Oh, wow.
A lot of time on his
What's he
hands.
been done for?
No, he's cleaning up on
Different
the
quiz. That was the first quiz, not the second one.
He's cleaning up on the corporate circuit, isn't it?
Who's been mocked online for following a lingerie model on Instagram?
Michael Gove.
Sadly
Trying
not.
to seduce them with his impressions.
It's not the disgraced MP for North Tiverton, is it, Neil Parish? The one that
No,
was looking
what?
porn in Parliament. No.
Lingerie on a tractor.
That would be incredible. Lingerie and a tractor. Much as it'd be weird, we'd all look at it, wouldn't we?
Is it like Angela Rayner?
No, it's Lincolnshire County Council.
Oh, the whole...
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay, good.
Who said this about working from home? You spend an awful lot of time making another cup of coffee, getting up, walking very slowly to the fridge, hacking off a small piece of cheese, then walking very slowly back to your laptop and then forgetting what it is you're doing.
All together, gang. Boris Johnson!
Is the correct answer. And that's the end of the quickfire round. And that means that sadly we've also reached the end of the show. Congratulations to our winning team, The Left.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And to the winners, your prize, you get to go on a date with Amber Heard. But losers, don't worry, you won't be going away empty-handed. You get to clean the bedding. Thanks to our team captains, Leo Kearse and Diane Spencer. And to our guests this week, Mark Dolan and Stephen Grant. I've been your host, Stephen Allen, and we'll be back at the same time next week. See you then.